I'd like to think that it looks like where where everyone feels safe and everyone feels a part of the community and not marginalized. And I know I tend to be more idealistic than other people, but I when I hear Diego's story and I hear Tyrone's story and I hear Greg's story, like it, I don't want anyone to feel unsafe in their own community. That's just not right. And so I guess psychologically, people would feel safe and okay and not have to think about the new Green Book rules. And I think that this, conversations like this are certainly a step in the right direction. I don't know, other than we each doing our small part in ensuring that the injustices are minimized, how we get there, but and we treat each other all with respect, and like just a respectful community, I think is one, safe and respectful.
I like Shelley's answer. Yeah, where everybody is respectful and people are more willing to engage in conversations and they don't have to be dragged into it, or that they're all willing to sit down and have an open discussion without yelling and calling names or whatever, that they can listen to each other first before speaking. I don't know. I know when we were talking about like policing as a part of it, I don't know that policing necessarily has to do with the safe. I think the safe comes from within the community. I know when I see police in the community, my first thought is something has already gone wrong. So I think that's maybe separate, but definitely conversation is where it starts.
Like my ideal community is me being able to take my dogs on a walk without my mom going on a 30-minute lecture about what not to wear, where not to go, steer away from these people. Me going down to the store at night in a hoodie and not being caught on by the cops. And not just me, but other people of every race, every age, everything, and just being able to talk to each other about our problems and not being discriminated against because of those things we went through, what color our skin are, and what ethnicity, background, whatever.
When we talk about being able to have dialogue that really seeks to understand one another, I wonder if part of that is like really getting at the why. So often we have these conversations, not necessarily, not today, right? But in other in our other interactions in the community, and it can be like, well, this is what I think, and we're never really getting beneath that to go, but why do you have that belief? Where does that come from? What experiences have you had that have led you to believe that? Then I think we can start to humanize one another and go, oh, that makes sense. And then maybe start to untangle and dissect some of that and change it.
I think about like me as a teenager, you asked me, how do you feel about police? I hate police. And then you just left it at that and just went off. And now it's like, man, this little black kid, he just don't know better. Here you go. Here's another one. But you're right. If you ask me why, well, obviously I've told you, you would have a whole nother perspective, like an aha moment. Well, oh, okay, that makes sense. Let's dig into that unfortunate circumstances. This happened. And then now you can dig into the root and get underneath the surface. So that's a great point. Obviously, community feels safe, especially what Jody said. It doesn't necessarily, again, have to be the police. It can just be us as a whole, working together. And I think the other thing I want to emphasize is I would envision it as a place where you feel you can make mistakes, a place where you feel like you can have second chances. You don't have to be perfect. Almost like ripping the Green Book up and throwing it in a fire. Like, you don't even need it. I don't need to do extra stuff. I can just still have my do-rag on, and I can just go down to the store because it's cold. I throw my hoodie on, and I don't have to really worry about anything. It's just normal. I don't have to change anything about me. You know, safe for everyone. And yeah, we're always going to have our differences politically or whatever, right? But I think being able to show each other respect, again, this is, you know, what someone else said, but enough to hear them. And I think it's important to see people too. And I think, and that might be steering a little bit different from the question, but it's just something that was on my mind. I just forgot to mention. So many times when I hear this and it sounds good, but I hear, you know, I don't have a problem with you. I don't even see color. Everybody's the same. And I almost rather be called the N-word sometimes than to hear that comment. Because I know people's intentions might be good, but it just tells me that you don't see me and you don't want to see me. And you don't want to see the experiences I go through. You want to make it colorless because there could be guilt there. There could be you're afraid of confrontation. It could be you just have well intentions and that's how you were taught to phrase it. But either way, I want a community I envision that's just great is to be able to see each other and see our imperfections and to see our uniqueness and to be able to make mistakes and have second chances and be able to live and tell about it or not be marginalized and put in a box or sent to prison or anything like that. So
I wanted to interject this a little earlier, but Tyrone, I think also if I could assert that despite the implicit biases that certain police officers might have, they're humans as well. They're people as well. You know, outside of their jobs, they have families that they probably go back to. And although not all the time do they make the right decisions, we don't know their intentions always at hand sometimes. And so, you know, I love your response because it made me think, you know, although we can defund the police, we can hate the cops, we can, you know, yada, 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 everybody we look at, we have to look at them as people first. You know, we have to look at them as human beings first. They're bound to make mistakes. They're bound to fall. But that's just a part of life. So I loved each and every one of your responses.
If I were to have to answer, not even what I think an ideal community is, but like what some of our most basic needs are, I think being seen by one another is a real basic human need, right? And when people do make those kind of comments, I even as a white woman, I hear that in a very similar way that you do, just empathetically, right? Which is, well, then that tells me you don't see me. You don't see that our experience is different. It is different, right? And if you refuse to acknowledge that difference for whatever reason, even with good intentions, it means that we can't have an open, productive change discussion because you won't even allow yourself to acknowledge that there are differences in our experiences, right?